Periscope, is that correct at times? Yeah, and then, of course, YouTube that has exploded with nearly 11,000 of you who have subscribed with us. If you haven't, please do. Like us, chat rooms going already before I even got on it today on many things going on with college football. We're going to have a little note later on today about the Ryder Cup and some questions from you late last night or early this morning on the text line on your team or realignment. We do know this: Cincinnati has officially submitted their request to join the Big 12. This is no longer a pulse. This is no longer speculation or rumor. We know that because we even talked to you about this Thursday and Friday with UCF and the University of Houston, Brigham Young, and Cincinnati. The Bearcats are in the top 10 right now in college football. I'll try to explain some things to you if I can about where we are, where the Big 12 is, how they got here or there, and really trying to break down some of the money. Because a lot of you like, it sounds great, how much are we going to make? Because there was a chance it would be nuked, right? So we'll try to get a little bit into that on estimations of what all this might mean to the teams that will be a part of the Big 12. Mack Rhoades is expected to join us, though, at 3:30, the Baylor athletic director. However, I believe that the ADs and presidents and others, even those who might be a part of the new list of 4, I don't know for sure, but I got a feeling they've been talking today. I think they might have even had Zoom meetings or conference calls or whatever. So waiting to hear confirmation on when we'll have Mack Rhoades, Baylor's athletic director, on what is going on. Other ADs have spoken. Kirby Hocutt talks all the time. And we've heard from Jamie Pollard. So hopefully Mack Rhoades will be available. Now, one of the things that created the concern was not only being left behind, but the money, the financial part of it as well. There is, from what I'm being told, that Bob Bowlesby feels, and there seems to be, because of whatever they're kind of trying to do with ESPN or whatever they can do with ESPN, et cetera, that the money, the television money, which is for the Big Ten and the SEC massive, is in the neighborhood of somewhere between $22 and $25 million. That would be distributed to each of the 12 teams. I get the question, does that mean now? No, because no one's joining right now. And there's still the question of what is the timeline with Texas and Oklahoma, and how does that affect things? And do they have voting rights or not, grant of rights, whatever that means. Hopefully get answers from Mack Rhoades on that. So you're still looking at what is a lot more than what people thought could be, where you're left with 8 or 10 million, which is what a lot of group of 5 teams have now. Brigham Young has their own network. You ever heard of that before?
Yeah, Baylor played on it.
Yeah.
It's been 9 years ago or so, but yeah.
And I talked to Jake Hatch, who covers Brigham Young, and he was telling me that the West Coast Conference, during their basketball tournament, they play a lot of the conference games are aired on the Brigham Young network. They make money. Kansas has their, again, they make about $7 million with whatever their regional network is. We know Texas has $15 million a year, and Oklahoma has their regional network. But on average, the Tier 3 money's around $15 million for most of the remaining 8, give or take $1 million or $2 million. Then you have the college basketball tournament. You have units that each conference can earn. Baylor, of course, winning it all. That's 6 units right there, among others. There is as well a lot of the Tier 3 money that sometimes we don't add to the picture. Logos, branding, corporate sponsors, all of that. And so about $15 million. So if you got to $24 million, minus 10% off the top that goes to the conference office, that's $22 million, $21 million, $15 million if you're at Tier 3 normal. And then on top of that, there's a couple of other million here and there. And you're really not in bad shape. Are you Big Ten, SEC? You never will be. But what's the reason for bringing in 4 now? If you drop below 10, if Texas and Oklahoma were to leave, you're out of the college football playoff discussion, and you cannot have a conference championship game. Remember, they had the petition to get one with 10 teams. So you can imagine what happens if there's 8. So that's why 4. But here's one of the kickers today. There is not just 1 or 2 people, but there is some interest among those who are trying to make the decisions in the Big 12 on expansion to jump straight to 14 teams. Not 4, but 6. And if you were to go 5 and 6, the 2 teams you hear the most, this is from due diligence, is Memphis and also Boise State. That doesn't mean they're in, But if, in fact, they were to go a couple of more deep, I said that yesterday, but I'm now hearing that there's even interest in going straight from whatever they're going to add, go straight to adding 6. At least there's a push there. Doesn't mean that will happen.
Well, I mean, it didn't take that long to get to the 4, really, when you think about from, July 19th or whenever, doomsday was to now. It's only been about 6-7 weeks. So they got to 4 pretty quickly. So if you told Boise State and Memphis, get your applications ready and let's talk, I'm pretty sure that those schools could, dust off the old apps from a few years ago, update them, and get in. So, if you want to do that, especially if the network partners that you're talking to, which clearly they have to be, are saying, go to 14, we'll make it worth your while. It's worth your while to go to 14.
Now, you got to be careful. The more you add, the more that is eaten away at the overall pie. They do have right now, as we know, Craig Smoak, the $24-25 grant of rights with what they're getting paid right now. And you wonder how eventually that's all rolled into one or however they do that. But, if you really look at it just a week or two ago, there was still this kind of uncertainty. Now it's not are they going to expand, it's how many are they going to add to the picture. And you're not going to just try to throw a bunch of stuff against the wall. There's a lot of work being done. And some of the teams that are being added and others who are interested are also told this. There's going to be ways in which you get your money, but you also need to show us your donor interest, and that they're going to have to get heavily involved as well to keep up with the Joneses as much as we possibly can, and the 8 remaining teams as well.
I don't have anything to add to that. I mean, you're telling us. I mean, I'm just listening here. I don't really have anything to add because you're the one that's got the info right there. But yeah, I mean, this all sounds very interesting, and I keep going. I mean, this is the information, not what I have to add to it.
Now, there's a lot of questions, and what happens is there's a rug. Okay, what color is the rug? What kind of rug? Is it a shag rug, which back in the day? Is it how long? How big? So when I try to give you information, the first thing I get, which is because you care, is, well, then there's a question on what I'm telling you. I'm trying to learn that myself along the way. I do know this, is that if we can get Mac Rhodes on the show at some point, no matter who we have lined up today, and we do have some guests lined up, former Baylor offensive lineman Spencer Drango today at 4 o'clock. We got one of the great college football writers, Arkansas Democrat Gazette columnist Wally Hall on Arkansas. They play Texas this week. So there's a lot of that to get to today, and we will. And also the chat room, also the number 254-339-1122. So it's coming fast. And the good news is that what everyone has to be careful of, and yes, I'm getting my information along with whoever else is reporting some of this, but we've tried to not be ahead of the curve. We've tried to do it methodically to give you information about not just why those 4 were named on Friday. We gave you the 4 and why not the others. And we'll continue to try to do that along the way. 254-339-1122. That's the text, that's the call, and that's much more. And so right now, it's kind of, man, you got to be careful if you're involved in any of this in trying to make this happen. Now, I saw somebody that said, hey, The Athletic is reporting that Texas and Oklahoma say they have not officially asked to leave the Big 12. That's probably part of a legal play. They're also being like, hey, wait a minute. What's going on here? We thought you guys might, I'm not saying this is what Oklahoma and Texas' stance is, but they were probably hoping that the Big 12 would blow up.
That's exactly what they were hoping.
All right, and so now all of a sudden they're not blowing up. They're adding teams, and they're going to leave. We know they're going to make all the money they want, and they earned that, all of the image and everything else. But they're all of a sudden going, wait a minute, what if we haven't left until 24-25, which we know they're not going to wait that long, and all of a sudden we're playing Brigham Young, or we're playing Cincinnati, or we're playing UCF. Not that they're afraid of playing those teams. How is that going to affect the schedules we have now?
Well, I think that this is probably medium news for Texas and Oklahoma, in that now the Big 12 is acting proactively as if they are going to leave, and it's not, what's going to happen later on, and let's try to figure it out in a couple of years. It's figured out now. Let's get it worked out. And then now that you can start in earnest talking about what your actual exit fee is going to be, which I'm sure the Big 12 will try to make that a huge, huge number, but it won't be as big because now the conference is is afloat as opposed to sinking right after they left. So it's medium news. The best news for Texas and Oklahoma was you leave, the Big 12 completely falls apart. Everybody, scatters like cockroaches when the light comes on. But that's not what happened. The 8 stayed together and made it as hard as they could for Texas and Oklahoma. But now, in a couple years, they can leave.
I think that everyone expects that by 23. You would think even next season as well. So, Craig, your thoughts about